of productive people that will move their business forward. Beyond this, we are also very much interested in the talent development space, working with various partners to ensure that we're bridging the talent gap in Africa, starting from Nigeria. Jobberman Nigeria is a part of the African Talent Company. We do this in collaboration with our sister companies in East Africa, Brighter Monday Kenya, Brighter Monday Uganda, and in West Africa, Jobberman Ghana. So thank you again for joining us today. We're speaking and we're looking at the theme around harnessing the business benefits of creating internship and graduate level programs. Basically how companies can benefit from opening their workforce up to these young professionals that are just getting into the labor market. What is the need for them? What do they stand to gain? And to help us do appropriate justice to this theme and topic with their wealth of experiences, I'd like to introduce our panelists. First, we have Abimbola-Oshibodu, former recruitment specialist at McKinsey and Company, and now she currently heads the digital marketing and corporate communications of IO Designs. But I mean, it sounds like she's already moved away from that space, but because of her passion and because of the wealth of knowledge that she has, I cannot possibly just be lying there. She said yes to be here today. Hello, Abimbola, you're welcome, and thank you for doing this.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Up next is Kehinde, who heads the Learning and Development Department at CGI Group. He's a consummate HR professional as well, with over 15 years of experience across the FMCG consulting and banking sectors. He has worked with EcoBank Nigeria and former Sky Bank. Thank you so much, Kehinde, for being here. Thank you for saying yes to our invitation. Thank you for your readiness to share. You're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
All right, and of course, lastly is my wonderful colleague, of course, Chisom Ofili. She has the recruitment team here at Jobberman, an astute professional of over a decade experience in human resources, for development, recruitment, and everything in between. Thank you so much, Chisom, for doing this. You didn't exactly have a lot of options, or you didn't have a choice anyway, but thank you for saying yes all the same. Thank you for being here, Chisom. Is Chisom here? I can't find Chisom for whatever reason. Okay, she's back. Hi, Chisom. Are you back here? Can you hear me? Hello, Chisom.
Hi, Buki, I'm here. I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Your video is off, by the way. Okay, it's on now. Yes, so I was introducing you. Thank you so much, Chisom, for being here as well. Chisom, like I said, heads the recruitment team here at Jobberman. They're working really hard all the time, matching companies with the best and the most qualified talent that you can find here in Nigeria and even across the ocean. Thank you for doing this, Chisom. All right. Yes. So let's get right into it. So creating internship and graduate level opportunities really can be a really successful strategy for ambitious companies, for future forward and thinking companies. There's so many benefits in there for them to harness. There's so many ways through which that this can be beneficial, not only to these young professionals, because the mindset, is that when companies create these programs, they are the employees or the young professionals that get hired are the only ones that get to benefit at the end of the day, what the business stands to gain. And that's the myth that we're hoping we're going to be able to bust here, if I may use that word today. So we're just really going to explore themes around what are these benefits that these businesses can get, how can they go through this hiring process, how can they maximize, these programs to ensure that, value is delivered both on the supply and the demand side of the table. So those are the things that we're going to explore, and hopefully at the end of this webinar, we're hoping that companies and businesses that are listening to us right now are convinced that creating these opportunities is the right business decision and is the right direction to go. So my first question will be to Abimbola. Considering the fact that you held the position of recruitment specialist, in one of the leading consulting firms, and your focus actually was on graduate recruitment, right? For those number of years, you were part of the processes from hiring to retention and everything in between. So what would you say? Because we're not about to create a picture that's a walk in the park, right? Park for employers looking to create these programs. Yeah. So you're laughing. So what was like the biggest challenge that you faced? Sourcing the right candidate and then bringing them on board. From screening. What would you say like was the biggest challenges that you faced, and how you were able to overcome them?
So I guess when it comes to talking about challenges, I'm thinking, do we have all the time in the world? But I'll try to keep it to 2 minutes. Can you hear me? Fine.
Yes. Really.
Okay. So I want to start by saying that as a recruiter, I usually have a set list of goals or a target I'm trying to achieve with any recruitment process. So who do I want? What does my ideal candidates look like? What initial skills do they need to possess? Or would I want someone completely green? What degrees, what grades, what languages? How many do I need? And those questions kind of form, for me, explain how challenging the process is then going to be. So first with sourcing, the first question. So where to find them? What's your budget? Do you have the capacity to actually physically visit the schools, or do you only just have the opportunity to create an application portal that you can send as a blast to a number of candidates? I personally preferred the more personal touch. So the challenge for me was finding the time to physically visit 8 universities and carry out campus recruitment drives at every single place. So the first step with that was first identifying and hoping that you accurately identify the right institutions to go to, because you don't have the luxury of visiting every single one as much as you want. So there's a lot of research that goes into finding those institutions and ensuring that you have a concise list of the schools you want to visit. That's one aspect. So after you've identified, you then have to ensure that you have the resources available to attend or to visit all those locations. So whether it's recruiters or staff members participating, you need to have an idea of how many hands you have available to actually attend all of those schools. With identifying the schools to visit and actively target, coming up with that number of schools depends on what you're looking for and the kind of candidates you are looking to hire. So are you looking for people more oil and gas inclined, tech, finance? So those kind of questions also inform the kind of institutions that you end up going to. So with capacity, how I managed to solve that problem was with streamlining the number of schools we were able to visit, and then trying to plan ahead with number of people able to follow me to each location. That ensured that I was able to reach a good enough number of candidates across the different campuses, and also try as much as possible to have some kind of personal interaction with the different students from each campus. With the application process, you then have the challenges with defining what that looks like. Because again, you don't have the luxury of looking through every single application, but you need to ensure that the people that do make it through the process are the people that you need. So I prefer having a kind of like standardized test. The test should focus on a few key skills that are important for the organization and also beneficial for the initial days of that the person actually starts. So that part honestly isn't that challenging.
Straight.
Now the
Okay.
now the challenge with screening is that, as we all know, there are millions of students across Nigeria, and finding a way to filter them can be challenging. But then how I then fix that is that with every recruitment drive I've ever done, I have what is called a screening scoring card, where I have a set list of parameters. So whether it is degree, it is degree in terms of first 2122, it's in terms of the kind of subject you studied, or skills, or positions you might have held in school. So each category carries a weight, and then that's what I then use to filter the initial sets of applications that come in before you then take those guys in for the test. So like I guess everyone has that initial screen that they use to filter the large pool of candidates, and it's usually around degrees. So anything up with the automated processes, most times anything under a 2.2 gets cut off, but you're still left with a wide range of candidates to filter. So with the screening scoring card, I'm then able to filter through the candidates that I actually need within that pool, and then invite a smaller number in for interviews.
For the next stage. Thank you so much. I like that. It appears as though most of your processes involve some offline tactics, a number of offline tactics when you're going to the universities and everything. But it's interesting to know that, this whole challenge of sorting through and screening, and I'm sure that Chisom can also speak to this, and even Kehinde, is like the bane of every recruiter or every human resources professional. But I mean, the good thing is that some of those processes are now automated. For instance, for Jobberman, we have the applicant tracking system, where this criteria that you can set, these goals and everything can be, just highlighted on the system, and the system then goes ahead to sort through these applications, and then just making things seamless. Just one more follow-up question, Abimbola, because I mean, you described the process. You described, it sounds hectic, but can you remember like a particular outlier that you could look at, considering in terms of their journey of growth and the impact that they eventually brought into the organization, and then you could say, yes, it was worth the stress? Do you have like any? I'm sure you have many, but just one.
Yes, I was going to say, I can't I see, because I was part of the start of the graduate recruitment program at McKinsey, so I see all of them. I honestly see all of them that came in through that process as outliers, especially as most of them ended up being managers. So how it typically worked was that you go from being a graduate trainee to an analyst. Then some people choose to either go to business school or to become associates. And then after that, you then become a manager. So you basically go from learning, being coached, being mentored, and trying to grab any piece of information that's available to you, to then being a little bit more confident as an associate, standing your ground, being more confident in presentations, to managers, where you are then now leading the projects. And so it's so amazing to watch, because then these guys are the people that will then follow you back to the campuses for graduate recruitment programs. And they were not there. I mean, they were not there like too long, not long ago or too far ago. So it is relatable, and it is something that people can see and say, oh, I can aspire to do that. And honestly, it makes it worth it. Another part of that makes it worth it for me is also the guys that end up leaving after a certain amount of time, because you also see them get great positions in other companies, and then they end up reaching out to you once in a while just to find out how you are. And then it's also quite refreshing and very nice, to be honest, to have.
Yeah, thank you so much. I like that you touched on the fact that they have to learn, be mentored, for them to have that continual journey of growth. Which is what is going to lead me to my question to Kehinde. As for someone that heads the learning and development department at CGI, what kind of upskilling opportunities, what kind of structures do you think that it's important for employers and businesses to put in place to ensure that when these young professionals come in, the interns, the graduates, trainees, when they come in, that they can continue to grow and begin to occupy positions that are very pivotal to the growth of the company?
All right, thank you, Bukola. So I'll just start with having a plan, basically. So before you get these guys on board, have a plan for them. Set goals, KPIs, and room for feedback, because gone are the days whereby you bring these guys in and they're doing many hour jobs, they are doing things like going to buy stuff for you, going to the printer. No, these guys want to get their hands dirty. They want to be able to participate in decision making, in meetings. They have fresh ideas. They are brimming with a lot of energy. And if you put that energy to good use, you get value for them. Secondly, I'll just say create a mentorship program for them. Mentor these guys, create a sense of direction for them. Put them in a place whereby they can add value to your organization. Create collaborative opportunities. Let them work in different teams, have opportunities to experience various parts of your organization. Because when you come in and you just put them in a bucket, they tend to get bored. They tend to not want to be able to express themselves. When you expose them to different opportunities, different areas, different projects, and you get the best out of them. Another thing I think is very important is allowing them a route to fail forward. In some organizations, failure might be a problem. But once you create, a lab where they can iterate ideas, make mistakes, come back on their mistakes, and move forward is very important. Organizations that tend to allow their employees, especially graduate trainees, to fail forward are better organizations, even developed companies that have done the likes of the Googles, the like of the IBMs. Their employees can fail forward, learn from their mistakes, and get back and do it all over again. That's when they're able to create the next big thing, the next idea, and really, do wonderful things. And another point is, make work fun for these guys. They don't want to come to work and work is boring. They want to be able to have fun while they work. They want to be able to talk while they work, network while they work, and do a lot of things while they work. One of the things also finally that COVID has done for us is has made use of tech commonplace. Everybody can now use work remote tools and technology. So where that exists in organization, allow these guys, work from home. Allow them use these tools, communicate to them via these tools. Everybody's on their phones now, not even these graduates and these interns. Everybody's on their phone. So the thing you want to do is, meet them where they are. Get information to them across on their phones, on their tools, on their gadgets, social media, and those places where they find fun, Twitter, engage them in those areas. And where possible, not all organizations can have their employees, work from home or have some kind of flexi time. But where possible, it's very important you give them flexi time. One of the things I've even started seeing these days is when you're interviewing these young guys, once you're not able to create an opportunity or give them the time to have some flexi work time, you lose them immediately. You lose them. Yeah. So where your organization has the facility, the opportunity to work from home, allow these young guys work from home. And lastly, find a way to measure their performance, not the regular way of measuring performance. Find ways to measure performance and give them tasks to do that would engage them, that would bring out the best in them. And lastly, give them feedback. Let them know if they are doing well. Let them know, when they are not doing well. Constructive feedback is really important for them. I think with this kind of strategies, you're good to get the best out of them.
Okay, but what would you say about the fact that, employers and businesses tend to worry that when they equip this talent, to a certain aspect and to a certain level, then they begin to look more attractive to the competitors, and they end up leaving really. And so what would you say to, what would you say to that, and the fact that, even in spite of this, businesses can still get some value from these people that are equipped before, whether or not they end up leaving the organization. Abby, I would also like you to respond to that after Kehinde.
Really, the risk of keeping an employee that is not well trained is higher than the risk of training an employee and leaving. I mean, once you train an employee, it gives you immediate value. Your ROI is high. You're able to get value for what you've trained the employee to do. What's important is having to structure your training in a way that while they are there, on-the-job training or off-site training, they're able to give immediate value for training. So basically assess the way you're going to train them, your training needs. Does it meet business objectives? If it does, or meet business challenges immediately, you're able to get immediate value. So even when he goes, you have nothing to worry about. Let him go. I mean, he goes out there to do more things, another person will come. But if you don't train them, you don't get any value from them. You just have people that are not doing anything for you. And a lot of times these days, to attract and retain the best talent, you have to have a plan for them, to upskill them really, to keep them engaged, and continually engaged, because it's very, very important. Set the right KPIs, and also once you train these guys, create a platform whereby learning can be cascaded. I mean, so once you train the person comes back and share knowledge, and there's someone shadowing the person to ensure that the learnings he has gotten from this training is able to become commonplace in the workplace, so that everybody can also benefit. And again, train for business challenge, train for business issues. When you have a customer service challenge, when you have a leadership challenge, train so that once they go and come back, they're getting immediate value. So not like you train and the person comes and there's no ROI on your training, there's no value gotten from the training. So the reward for training,
the trainings have to be relevant. Like it has to be something that can begin to put to good use immediately.
Immediately.
Not for tips. Abimbola, Chisom, would you like to also share some thoughts on that? Abimbola, you are muted.
I'm so sorry. I completely agree with everything Kehinde just said about the right trainings to ensure that you have the best people working in your workspace. To be honest, you cannot be afraid of losing candidates, because you will lose candidates along the way. What is important to me anyway is ensuring that the time that they spend with you is worth it. So in my experience, in most cases, unless if you make an environment conducive for someone, so like Kehinde said, they're going through relevant trainings, mentorship programs, they are allowed, their voices are heard. So the trainings also give them more confidence in public speaking, in like systems, in presentations, in even just like critical thinking. All those things give them the confidence that's required, or more confidence, to be honest, to carry out their jobs. So I think it's more of a benefit than a risk as well, to be honest.
All right, thank you so much. Chisom.
Yeah, I totally agree with Kehinde. He has basically touched all the aspects. The truth of the matter is that the risk is higher if you do not train your staff, because you are afraid that they will leave. And the truth of the matter is that they will still leave, right? So it's better that while they are with you, you're getting value from them. Now, the training those, like Kehinde said, he mentioned something about having a plan for these people when they come in. Having that plan reduces the risk of them leaving, but they will leave eventually. Having a plan reduces the risk. And then while they are with you, they're giving you value. That's all that matters.
Absolutely. Still speaking on leaving, so there are like two sides of the coin. So sometimes they don't want to leave, sometimes they want to stay, because internship programs and graduate level programs are usually for a period of time. So when the time comes and this period has elapsed, what are those ways that you would say, and this question is for you, Chisom. So in determining whether or not they should be fully integrated into the workforce, what are those ways and key strategies that can be put in place to ensure that they are assessed with relevant metrics to ensure that the decision to keep or to let go is made correctly or appropriately, if I may put it that way. So what should the assessment be like?
Okay, so I want to assume, in fact, before any internship program, I want to assume that there is a need in that organization that those interns are supposed to come in and fill, hence the trainings and all of that. Now, even before they start this internship program, there should also be key performance indices that have been laid out that they're supposed to meet up to. Now, when it comes to the point, before it comes to the point of confirmation or letting go, like Kehinde said, the training processes and all of that, the mentoring and all of that has already gone on. Now, at the point of assessing them, you're supposed to assess them based on the key performance indices that were outlined in the beginning. Now, another aspect of that is this. Remember that for internship programs, it's usually for fresh graduates or newbies, people that have not really gotten used to the corporate world yet. So at that point, you're supposed to be looking out for those that have met up to those indices that were outlined in the beginning. And then another thing to look out for is the level of growth. So you came in at ground zero. Right now, in the next 3 months, in the next 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, you're supposed to be able to track that month on month or quarterly, if you may. You're supposed to see some growth. Another thing that you're supposed to also look out for is potential. Oh, this person was here when he came in. At this point of confirmation, he is here. And from the way he is, his passions, his focus, and the way he gets his job done, he has potential to do even better. Those are grounds for confirmation. Apart from the fact that you hit the nail in the head, you met up all the KPIs and all of that. In fact, in some cases, you would see that some people that have potential in the long run would even do better than those that have already met their KPIs at that point. So when you're assessing your candidates at the point of confirmation, look out for those that have met the KPI requirements and those that have potential. Now, those that have potential have to have shown growth over time.
Oh, thank you so much. Well said. Abimbola, would you like to share more thoughts on that with respect to the assessment, determined confirmation?
So Chisom honestly puts it very well as well. The only thing I think, it's not slightly different, I would just say, is that when at the beginning of every graduate recruitment period or time, as Kehinde has so eloquently explained, there's a plan. So part of that plan is that we also used to include feedback into that, and the candidates were also aware of that. So, and with every study so the aim was to ensure that you are guiding and helping them along their entire journey with the aim of helping them confirm. So you are ensuring they're doing the right trainings, they're with the right mentors, they're getting projects or studies that can highlight their strengths better, if that makes sense. So what then happens is that at the end of each project, they are then expected to sit down with their manager, and the manager has a list of questions or parameters they're looking at the end of each project, and that they're giving them crisp and concise feedback with the aim of checking in again based on those points to ensure that a difference has been made or changes have been made. Now, so there are those informal sessions where you're just saying, oh, you can do better at this, or you can read this, or there's a link here that can teach you this better, or those kind of things. And then there's the formal sessions that are like that are more official, more detailed, and hopefully by the time the formal sessions are happening, you should have been able to incorporate some of the advice given to you during the informal sessions to at least shine a little bit brighter during the formal sessions. So the aim is that after the 6 month formal session, you then know that, look, I have another 6 months to ensure that I fix A, B, C, and D in order to get a confirmation. And in most cases, again, you would like to hire everybody, but then at least through that method, we were at least able to ensure that we converted 90% of the graduate recruitment trainees to full-time staff.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I hear a lot about setting goals, having a plan, and of course, ensuring that assessment is not delayed until the end of the program, right? So in terms of setting goals, so what are the types of business goals that an organization can actually set to say, this is what we want to meet with these internship programs, this is what we want to meet with this graduate recruitment program? In terms of business goals, I mean, for businesses out there, they're probably thinking, yes, we hear it's good, we hear it's, it's beneficial to us, but then how can we set measurable goals, so that they don't just launch out into this without having like a proper plan? This question is for everyone. Kehinde, would you like to go first?
Sorry, I didn't hear the question, sorry.
What are the kinds of business goals that organizations can set at the point where they want to launch into creating internship or graduate special programs?
I mean, there are various goals. I mean, it might be goals depends on what your strategy is for big organizations, and for medium ones, depends on what your plan is. I mean, are you trying to, capture the youth sector of the market? Are you trying to create a succession plan? Are you trying to, bring in fresh ideas? I mean, depends on the goal you're trying to set, but whatever it is, these guys are going to come in with fresh ideas, come with different mindset, different plans, a burst of energy to come and infuse into your workplace. So for different sectors, they have different goals, different plans, but it's important to have these fresh ideas, these youth dynamics. I mean, everybody can be reached now via social media. I mean, the plan to order your meal can be done via social media. The plan on what to wear can be done via social media. The plan on where to go to eat, the plan on the place to go to socialize. And it is not the guys that are 40s or 50s that are going to come up with these ideas. It's these guys out of school, these guys with the tech, these guys with the tools that can code, that can do all the wonderful stuff that a lot of us are still trying to catch up with. They're the ones that will bring these ideas into organizations. And, once you have a strategy, once you have a plan, they fit into that plan and, they help you go.
Absolutely, I agree. So succession plan, maybe I would have Chisom elaborate more on that. But I hear you with regards to the fact that these young people, they come, bursting with fresh energy, fresh perspective. They are very, their use of digital tools is second to none, cannot be matched, by the older generation. But with regards to succession plan, Chisom, would you like to share some thoughts on that? And of course, Abimbola.
Okay, so let me just bring it home. Succession plan basically means that if I leave this organization, who is going to take on the role, and how good or how strong are your technical skills to make sure that balls are not dropped. So succession plans are what inform some of what, or majority of what Kehinde does and what he mentioned before. So the staff that are working with you, how will I call it relevant? How skilled or upskilled are they to hold on to that role and deliver on everything that they are supposed to do. So there's something that Kehinde mentioned earlier. He said, when someone goes maybe for an out of office training or some kind of certification and all of that, after you've come back, someone is put to shadow you. What he meant by that is this: there is someone there that is going to learn direct. You're going to mentor that person on everything that you got from that training, so that that knowledge is not only for you. And then at that point, you can then cascade it down to every other person in the organization in maybe little buckets and all of that. But at every point in time, if you have a head of department, there should be someone who is shadowing that head of department. If you're a team lead, there should be someone shadowing the team lead. If you're an executive, there should be like an intern or someone. At every point that there is a gap, there should be someone that can step in on short notice to fill those shoes. So that's what succession plan is.
Right. Then it's a very relevant and important goal to have, because people would come in and out of the organization, people would fade in and out. So it's very important to have that structure in place, and graduate programs and internship opportunities. Is a very brilliant strategy to use for that. Abimbola, what are some of the other goals that businesses can set to ensure that they stay focused and they achieve the goals of creating these opportunities for young professionals?
So again, it depends on the needs. It really depends, and everyone has said it pretty much, that it depends on the needs of the organization, and what the organization's business needs and people needs as well. For the business needs, when you're looking at the people that are coming in, or the people that are there, you obviously want people that can serve your industry. Then when you're looking at the people side as well, you want people that are team players that can also get along with the people that you have, in-house. And why that is important for the succession plan is because those people, they create the opportunity for the firm to basically grow the next set of leaders. So the culture that they are introduced to, the culture that they grow with, is very important in ensuring that you maintain a certain standard and culture in a company, not for all time, because things end up moving and growing, but then still maintain a certain level of quality and standard across the board. So for me, that is why that is really important. So a company can set goals with, and it really just depends on their needs. Like, look, I need this number of tech guys because the world is going digital. So I need the new and freshest minds in the digital space to come there. Oh, do you know what? Everybody is now a content creator. I need people that are experts in this department for this year, so that they are able to push or increase our company's awareness, or our brand's awareness, as well as also recruiting. We're trying to attract more people to us. People have this impression of us, I'm trying to change them. My goal for this year is so it honestly and truly really depends on the exact goals and needs of the organization at that point in time. But the goals they can set can be endless, especially in today's world.
All right, thank you so much, Abimbola. My next question is to you, Chisom, and it's with regards to integrating those people into the workforce. So the program has ended. It's now time for them. We've identified, the KPIs to see whether or not they should be confirmed, and then we have identified the ones that are, going to be confirmed. So what are the tips that you can share, with business owners and employers on how to integrate them into the workforce and just ensure that the organization continues to get the best from them?
Integrate them into the workforce after they've been confirmed?
Yes, into the organization, rather.
After they've been confirmed, or just before, or before the internship?
After they've been confirmed. This post.
Okay, so yeah, I think it's basically the same thing. I think you basically do the same thing. It's just that they are more familiar with the culture of the organization and all of that at that point. So to integrate them into the organization, I think...
Is this something that should be done before the program starts?
Okay, now let me explain something, right? At the point that they came into the organization, they came in as interns. Now, at the point of confirmation, they are now full-term employees, so introduce them as such. So when you're introducing your new hires, say, oh, introduce that person as a new hire, do an induction for that person as well, hand the person over to a line manager that will now coach you for the department or whatever project you're going to be working with going forward. So I believe it's basically pretty much the same process. It's just that the details of what you're doing exactly are going to be different. So for example, at the point of coming in as an intern, they're trying to teach you about the culture of the organization. They're trying to teach you about maybe how to use basic, maybe to move from intermediate level on computer knowledge and all of that to maybe an expert level and all of that. However, when it comes to becoming an FTE, you should understand that now you're a full-time employee and more is expected of you. KPIs as well should be communicated and discussed as well. There should be a line manager that is in charge of that person to ensure that the transition is smooth. People and culture or HR of the department as well should also be intentional about those employees to ensure that the transition is smooth. And the fact that this person is a full-time employee does not mean you should now abandon the person. Oh, it's our person, it's our person. No, 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 no. At that point, you're still supposed to do a lot of hand-holding and supervision to ensure that you are still getting value from that person.
Okay, thank you so much, Chisom. So good. So I just wanted to circle back a little to the business benefits for companies. What can you say about, how this actually affects the perception of the brand itself to external stakeholders, right? Creating these opportunities for young professionals to get an opportunity to live out their values, what they've been taught in school and everything. What does this do to the brand in terms of perception?
Okay, so it's going to bring a lot of brand recognition for that organization because people are going to look at that brand because a lot of, in fact, I don't know if you know, but a lot of feedback that I get from candidates is that why is it that employers are always looking for candidates that have experience? But how will you get experience when there are no jobs and all of that? Now, it brings a lot of brand recognition for that particular brand because they have the perception of being inclusive. Okay, they have the perception of being inclusive. That's number one, and then you make a difference in the community. Because you're going to be partnering with universities and schools, community leaders. Especially when you're doing these internship programs and all of that. So you make a difference in the community, and they will partner with you to give you the best talents. Okay, so it will now be a case of, oh, it's not that employers are always looking for 5 or 6 years experience, but if you have the potential, they will hire you. It gives them access to a larger pool of untapped talents. If everybody is looking for experienced people, of course, we know that there are people that are fresh out of school that will probably deliver more than those that are already there. It gives you access to untapped talent, a pool of untapped talent, and then you'll be part of the candidate's success story. For example, for me, I got to where I am now based on an internship program that I started when I came out of school. And that's how I got into recruitment and all of that. So I just walked in there. I said, oh, I'm interested in HR. It looks like something that I want to do. I have registered for an exam. I'm reading it, but I don't know what they're saying. I would like to work here so that I can have hands-on experience to help me to understand what the exam that the books I'm reading for the exam that I'm about to take. And he looked at me and he said, okay, no problem. Come and resume, but I'll just be giving you transport money. I went to work for free, actually. I said, I'll just give you transport money. And that's how I started my career. And here I am now, head of recruitment for Jobberman Nigeria. Okay, I would never forget that. So you're part of the candidate's success story. And it's a win-win. It's a win-win, especially in the economy that we are in now, where you don't come across opportunities like that so much. It seems as if you have to know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. You know, when that person finally comes in, you know, they are passionate. They want to prove to you that you didn't make a mistake and all of that. So it's a win-win for both the candidates as well as the brand as well. So let me just stop there.
Okay, Kehinde, would you like to take it from there? Are you also a product of an internship opportunity?
Yeah, I'm sure mine is even more interesting than Chisom's. So
Let's hear it then.
I come from a family of professionals, so any opportunity I got, it found a way of putting me into some organization to intern. So I was always interning from forever. So I've always interned and I got the value. I mean, at that point, I didn't really see what the value was, but as I rose in my career and as I grew, I understand the advantages he afforded me and the opportunity he afforded me to even network. Up till now, the first boss I had when I first interned, maybe in my year 2, we still have a communication in some way. He's been heads of HR for several organizations, and you know, he's kind of mentored me along the way. So it's a good opportunity. And like Chisom mentioned, I mean, it's always important not to, at every point in time or when you start, to think about the monetary aspect. The rewards is just make sure you're able to get by in some way. I've seen organizations whereby they pay very little, but you see people come together in the team to make sure that you're getting to work, you're eating, you are living, and you're good. Just the determination, the fervor and everything, it's also a good way to start off.
Yeah. Absolutely. So good. Thank you so much. Abimbola, I'm sure you have tons of stories. But first of all, are you also a product of internship?
Yes, I am. So yes, I did my NYSC internship at McKinsey and Company, and then I went on to spend 8 more years there. So I spent a long time working with them post internship. So I went from HR and recruiting to being a full-time recruiter and then recruiting specialist. Then going from experiencing the process to actually setting the strategy. So it was really amazing for me in that aspect, because you've been on one side of it where you're really nervous and scared. You're studying for you're studying for the interviews and you're hoping you get the offer. And then you're then on the other side where you're setting the strategies, you're choosing the schools to go to, you're setting the tests, you're doing the interviews with the aim of actually making the offers. So I think starting as an intern just makes it a little bit more I won't say empathetic to interns, but then you're able to cut them. You're able to cut them. Yeah, you're able to cut them some slack.
Okay, what does that? Could you also speak on what that does to brand perception as well for the company now?
So I think in terms of, well, I guess it was unique to this particular industry because it was beneficial. It was beneficial in the sense that a company opening up a branch in Nigeria or in Lagos, you need to have local hires so that everybody is more sure that you are ready to be rooted in the country. So the more the more people that you hire from the graduate recruitment programs, the more likely that they were to be loyal and stay a little bit longer. And then the brand perception of that was that you are honestly trying to make the effort to build an office of majorly Nigerians or Africans or whatever. So that put us anyway in a better light.
Thank you so much. Just a quick announcement for our attendees. Can you use the Q&A section to leave your questions so that the panelists can take them before we wrap up? Just one question. I was wondering, right, because Kehinde had mentioned something about the fact that the younger generation, about They have the fresh energy, perspectives, use of digital tools, and all of those things that they bring in. So we've identified that as a benefit. But then again, how do organizations strike a balance? And let me use the buzzword with regards to the fact that, the Gen Z, which would mostly fall into this bracket of interns and graduates and entry-level employees. There's a lot of misconception about them, about how seriously they take work, about the kind of expectations that they have. And I'm thinking, what if this is a reason why some of these employers and businesses are a bit reluctant, to bring these people into the workforce? So, I mean, you are all HR professionals. What would you say are like the key ways that they can use to manage this bucket of young professionals in a way that would ensure that, they're still able to meet the business goals that they set for these programs when they create them? Kehinde, would you like to go first?
Interesting question. My advice will be for organizations to find people in their team that can relate well with these young guys. I mean, if you feel that you're quick to get angry, you're quick to get irritated, you're not the person to relate with them. Get someone that can come to their level, have a plan for them when they come in. We'll talk about plan, everybody's talking about plans here. So have a developmental plan for them. When they come in to when they exit your door, what are they going to be doing? What do you have for them? How will they grow with your company? What is going to excite them about being with you? And again, communicate that plan with them. Don't just assume that, they come in and let them loaf around. No, have that plan and communicate. Let them know that this is what you get by being here. I mean, it's an interesting time now because you are competing for talent, not just in the Nigerian space. You're competing for talent internationally. The talents you have here can work anywhere now. They can sit down in Lagos and are working in Dubai, are working in Canada, and are working in the States. That's why one of the things you guys do, I find it very, very exciting because you're able to make that talent available for Nigerians here. But the interesting thing is they're available for everyone in the world to work. So you must have a plan for them, like everyone has said, communicate that plan, freedom to express themselves, freedom to make mistakes, freedom to be able to iterate, talk to you, and come and get feedbacks. Learning plans. What are they learning while they're with you? And, take calculated risks. If your organization is an organization whereby people cannot take risks and fail, then just probably put them in an area whereby they can take risks. And even if they fail, it doesn't really affect the bottom line. But, they're able to learn from their mistakes and come out successful. These days, if you enter some organizations, you don't even know who is an intern. You don't know who is a youth corper. You don't know who is a graduate because everybody is involved. They are doing things in developed organizations, in the developed world. Interns are contributing to the bottom line. They have KPIs, they have set targets, they have goals, and they meet those goals. So I think that's my contribution.
Thanks a lot, Kehinde. Chisom, would you like to weigh in on this? We have Gen Zs in Jobberman and they are amazing anyway, but Chisom will share more insight from my experience as well.
Well, I'll basically be repeating what everybody else has said, but I want to weigh in on one aspect that Kehinde said, which is if you know that I don't handle Gen Z for somebody that was standing as a step down. So when you call that person and you're ranting about how these people are not delivering on anything and all of that, this person will be the step down to go and tell the Gen Z, okay, so in this area, I think you need to upscale in this area. You think you need to improve here. The person doesn't have to say word for word what you have said. But the benefits of having these people in your team cannot be cannot be overemphasized, really. If you know that you are not good with relating with people of a certain bracket, yes, there has to be. You have to have someone that is able to relate with these people, upskill them, and then start seeing results. That's just what I have. it's a brilliant idea. You must not do everything, really. You mustn't do everything.
Thank you so much, Chisom. Abimbola, can we please get your take on that as well?
Yeah, no, so I think it is obviously like important to move with the times, but then it also depends on the organization and I guess the management of that organization and the kind of culture in that organization. So if the organization is like traditional and they're like, I'm not really moving forward, then that's typically you. But then I think with what most organizations are trying to do nowadays in terms of culture, like in terms of setting a certain culture in that organization, if you have solid plans, and I know you said this so many times, like solid plans and solid goals around like inclusivity and involvement events. So whether it's networking events in-house or team bonding events where the different departments are kind of like mixed up together and everyone has to work together as a team to either win or achieve a goal or something, things like that, mentorship programs, training programs, giving people the opportunity to showcase that they have a fresh approach to some of the things that you have been doing. And there's this part that, and why I mentioned like traditional organizations earlier was because there's a part that I like to call respectful hierarchy. So you understand that there is a hierarchy in the organization, but you are not afraid to speak your thoughts in a respectful way. So those kind of like so those kind of environments where the new people come in and they are not like they know that, okay, I can go and have a conversation with this manager and the person is not going to shout at me, or the person is not going to say I'm stupid, or the person is not going to say like, what do I know? When did I start working? And what do I know? When did I start working here? Those sorts of things. I think then we will be able to, I guess, join Gen Z with the other generations as well in the organization.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your thoughts, for all the gems that that have been flying around this session. Let me quickly see. Okay, we don't exactly have any questions here. I'm hoping that I was able to, communicate the thoughts of all the other attendees with regards to the questions that have been answered. Thank you again for doing this. I think that for me, the takeaway, there's so many of them, but the crux of the matter really is that return on investment is certain when companies and businesses create these opportunities for young professionals. However, it's very important for us. A lot has been said and emphasized about the need to have a plan, to have a strategy, to have measurable strategies and metrics that would ensure that these goals are being met. And this assessment should even come not at the end of the period of the slated period of the program, but at relevant points. And that if all these things are in place, then businesses are sure to get their return on investment. And with regards to creating these opportunities, I also hear you with regards to brand perception. I think that for me, the summary is that it's a form of the CSR, right? The Nigerian Bureau of Statistics said that they projected that unemployment in Nigeria would be hitting a whopping 44% by 2024. So how about we all come together, companies, businesses come together to ensure, that this figure that has been projected, we never get there. And, creating opportunities like this is one of the most brilliant ways and, strategic ways through which we can ensure that this rate, the number keeps dipping and dipping year on. For Jobberman, we fully recognize this benefit. Excuse me, that everyone has emphasized here today, and that's why we have created a special offer for employers, whereby they can list roles, that are related to entry-level, internship, graduate, trainee. They can just list them on our platform for free. So that is what we're doing because, Abby mentioned something about the resources required even to start this processes. So for us, we're saying, what, we'll take care of this part. come and list these roles for free. You get access to our applicant tracking system as well to make the recruitment and the sourcing, excuse me, to make the sorting easier for you to do. And so that at the end of the day, everybody is contributing their quota. So if you like to take advantage of this opportunity, please visit jobberman.com/employer /entry jobs to, to take advantage of the opportunity. I'm hoping that with this, not few points of the panelists, with this many points of the panelists, we have been convinced to take it to the secondary school days and not confused, like they're creating this. These opportunities are beneficial. So sorry, we have a question. I think that we can quickly take it before we round up. So Nkem Murphy says, good afternoon. You talked about getting fresh graduates, but what of a situation that one is trying to switch career path and isn't a graduate? Would he be given an internship opportunity as well? Kehinde, would you like to take that? And Chisom and everybody really. Should these programs only target fresh graduates? That's the question that this person is asking.
I think there are various kinds of internship. You have the graduate internship and the internship whereby you're not a graduate. I think I spoke to that earlier. Chisom also mentioned that earlier. You can start your internship from your passion or from what you studied, and you want to know more about that than an organization does, and how they can help you, or how you can channel your career path. So it shouldn't just be, internship shouldn't just be for graduates. Organizations should find a way to accommodate interns that are not also graduates, and have a plan for them.
Oh, thank you very much, Kehinde.
And again, we have benefits of internship programs, so yeah.
Abimbola.
I completely agree with what Kehinde just said. There are different avenues and different opportunities. I wouldn't recommend someone that already has a career to join the pool of a graduate trainee internship program. But then there are other entry points to different organizations, and it's about doing the right research. It's about doing the right research into those different organizations to find the one that's best for you. But like other companies have entry points for people that, like, for example, have just finished their masters, or people that have gone to business school, people that have spent 4 to 5 years at a particular career and then they want to switch. Some organizations offer programs where they spend like 6 months training people with a career switch on like a new way, like the new on their company ways or policies, and then they're able to then make that switch and transition. But then, like Kehinde said as well, it depends on what is really important to you.
Thank you so much, Abby. Chisom, would you like to share any final thoughts?
Yeah, speaking more on what Abby mentioned about, and Kehinde, about it depends on what is important to you. I'll be referring now to the employee that wants to switch careers. Now,
Okay.
we're already past time, but can I go ahead? Okay, can you give me like
Yes,
5 minutes? Okay, now, there is the career path, that's your career, and then there are jobs. Now, there are people that within 5 years, they just keep getting any job that is available as long as there's like 10K extra. They're all about the money. Now, those that are intentionally building a career stay in a particular path. So if you're going to build a career, you need to know the beginning point of that career and then the end point, the possible end point. And that end point should be at a high. So that's why it's called the career path. Now, like Abby said, if you have worked in a certain career for a long period of time and you want to change, there are organizations that offer internship programs that can speak to that. Now, if you have been doing several jobs and you probably found a career path and you want to stick to that career path and then grow, there are also organizations that have that. Now, the challenge is usually from the end of the candidates. You've gotten to a point in your career where you're earning 200,000, 500,000, 1 million, and you want to change careers. Now you come in and you mention and you say, because I've had this experience several times, you come in and you say that you have 12 years experience. Now, you've forgotten that that experience is in a particular area. So if you want to change career, you're an entry-level person at that point. You don't have any experience there. So most candidates don't put that into consideration when they are applying for internship programs. Now, if you go ahead and apply for an internship program, are you willing to take a pay cut or eliminate your pay? Yes. Because organizations that carry out internship programs, majority of the time, there's a budget for that. That's for those that are paid internships. There's a budget for that. And because it's usually maybe a high volume of people, that budget is split within the number of people. If it's 50 people, if it's 60 people, 100 people, and as the case may be. Now, you come in and you want to be earning maybe the collective salary of about 50 people in a month. And the value you're bringing is not up to the value that the 50 people are going to bring. It's probably the value that one person would bring, because remember, even though you have 12 years experience here, you are actually an intern. You're starting from the beginning. You have zero experience. And then I then start hearing things like, oh, but I've been doing trainings. I've gone to Udemy. I have some certifications and all of that. And we all know that there is book smart and then there is hands-on. Have you done it? What are the results you have gotten? And have you done it is not one instance. Have you done it over and over and over again? And in this period of time, what is the level of experience or results that you have gotten from doing this? Have you failed forward? Have you picked up from your mistakes? You've not had the opportunity to do that. So when you want to change career and start with an internship, yes, it is possible, but are you willing to pay the price? So that's what my response to that question.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chisom. And thank you, everyone. We have overshot by 11 minutes. But this has been such an interesting and engaging, impactful and insightful session. Thank you all so much for sharing. Thank you, Kehinde, if you're just joining. Kehinde, Development at CGI Group. Abimbola-Oshibodu is former recruitment specialist at McKinsey and Company. And Chisom Ofili is head of recruitment at Jobberman, Nigeria. Thank you all so much for sharing. If you missed the better part, the main part of this webinar, not to worry. The playback will be available on our YouTube channel, Jobberman Nigeria. And we'll also send a follow-up email so that you can catch up on whatever point that you missed. Once again, I would like to announce that we're hoping that you've been able to make the decision to go on and create an opportunity for young professionals, onboard them into your workforce. The good news is that you can leave the jobs for free. And then, we're happy to take the stress or the cost of advertising the job off your table. So simply go to jobberman.com/employer/entry job to list these roles for free. This has been amazing. We hope that when we call on you again, I have a feeling that, there are so many great topics that your voice would be very good to have on. So we hope that when we call on you again, not if, the answer will be yes, Kehinde and Abimbola, and of course, Chisom. All right. Thank you so much for doing this. And thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, everyone.
Bye.